afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining this afternoon. For the last couple of years, RPA has been out in the federal space and now in the state and local space. It's really helping them to amplify and accelerate mission accomplishment in ways that we really didn't even imagine 2 or 3 years ago. But the one area that we're starting to see a lot of growth in now is the CIOs themselves using RPA to solve some of their sticky problems. Very excited today to have and discuss with Nicole from InterImage, one of our great UiPath partners, a solution that they've recently built for an agency that helps a CIO do some really regular, mundane, repetitive work. But Nicole, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
Yeah, glad that you're here. Can you tell our audience what your solution is and why it's important?
Sure. We originally started working on this idea after talking to several of our CIO customers that had similar issues in which they needed to make sure that their applications and their sites were up and running every day. And a lot of them had people that were going in and manually hitting every one of their applications every morning to make sure everything was up and running. So we thought that we could do that better and faster with RPA. So we developed a bot for one of our customers that actually takes in a list of websites and applications and goes through those sites and makes sure not only that the site is available, but it actually iterates through all of the links on each of the pages of the sites so that it can go through and make sure that your entire site is working correctly, not just the main page or the login screen. And so after it's done, it'll generate a report that it can send out of what pages were up, what pages were not. If there was an error message that was associated with any of the pages, it can identify that as well. And so that is the bot that we've developed that we're talking about today.
Great. No, so when I read your use case on it, I wanted to call it the wake up bot. But I can remember with NASA and missile defense that we would have, not only a planned outage and have to come in and check things, but you'd also have to recover after an unplanned outage. And to be able to have your bot do that so that people can really focus on mission side of work, not the technical, am I up or not? And then if they're not, of course, they can focus on the ones that aren't and don't spend any times on the ones that are. So it's a great one. So in looking at this is not something that just one agency might benefit from, right? This has got some space across almost every government office.
Absolutely. I mean, any organization that's got applications or websites that they want to make sure are available could make use of this. And in designing it, we did it with the intent that it would be very easy to customize and put into multiple different organizations.
What does it look like? Can you show it?
Sure. I have a little video here that I can show you of it. So you can see this is running in what we call a demo mode here, in which it's actually bringing up the websites, and you'll be able to see Excel pop up in the background as it's generating the report. When it's running in production, it would be running all of these things in the background so that the user could actually continue to use their machine without interruption while it's running. It's also able to run on orchestrator and unattended mode if an organization has orchestrator set up in their environment so that it could run on a server. Here I have it actually just running against our corporate website. And so it's just hitting one site, but you can see as it's iterating through the different pages in our menu and capturing whether or not things are available. There are actually a couple of 404 errors that we're going to come across in just a minute that it will capture as well, and we can look at when we look at the report of this. But once it's done, it will email out a report to any system administrators that are in the configuration file, notifying them of how the run went. It can also feed this data into an Elasticsearch dashboard so that you have real-time, up-to-date information of how your system is doing at any given time. And this can be set up to run on a regular basis. So it can be run daily or hourly. It can be triggered to run at a specific time if need be as well. So
Nicole, did you have to create a manual list and feed it? Because I saw the spreadsheet popping up, or did does the system create the list of digging down into the process?
So we have an Excel's config file in this case, because it's running in attended mode, that it goes through, and it just has the main URL of the site. So it has Iimage.com in the config file, and then it will find all of the subpages on its own. So if you had multiple different applications with multiple different URLs, you could just put the main URL for each of your applications, and it can work, as you saw here, with one application. It can also work with several hundred. And so if you would like to take a look, I can show you how that that report that you would get at the end would look like. So here you have your overall results. You can see that it did not pass the test. 17 of the pages it found did pass, 2 of them failed. And if we come in here, we can get details about what sites it checked and what links were on each of those sites. We can also see specifically what pages failed, as well as an error code that was associated with them. So it gives you a lot of information about your site that you can.
What I like about it also is, if I'm a system administrator working in the CIO's office, I don't really care about which pages are up. I care about which pages are down or have a problem. And so to be able to walk in the morning and say, I only have to see if the bot reported to me that there was something down. Otherwise, I'm up and I can move to my next event. You suddenly start to free up some significant time in every agency, everywhere, in every level of government, from our cities, counties, states, up to federal. So that's a lot of power that single automation that you guys have created can do. Very well done.
Thanks. Great. And so we do have plans for this bot going forward. We are looking at incorporating some AI into it, actually, so that when it does encounter those errors, it can try and determine what the cause of the error is and possibly fix it without having to even get a system administrator involved. So, it's possible that it could be taught to identify certain errors and, restart IIS if the entire site is down, or possibly go and ping to make sure that a database instance is up and accessible if certain parts that are using just one specific database aren't available. It could even possibly trigger a VM that's gone down to restart if that would be necessary. So there's a lot of potential for us to add additional functionality to this going forward.
Yeah, that's very smart. And at UiPath, we've got this idea of human in the loop. And so a lot of times when I hear somebody say, we can automatically fix things, other people panic. But there are some things that are standard change, and there are other things that are non-standard change. And if you train your bot to find, identify, and fix the standard changes, big deal. Still going to log it, report it, and tell you that it did it. So it's not like it's a secret. But to have it not do until you're comfortable, your non-standard changes is just, again, another way to reduce the amount of work the system administrator has to do to find things that are important. The non-standard broke is what they really have to go fix, especially if an intern or a bot could fix their standard changes for them by just restarting something. So outstanding. Good, Nicole. And listen, I appreciate you doing this with us today. It's a great example of how robots are going to be able to help not only the front office with mission accomplishment, but the CIO and the staff to really provide better IT for departments so they can provide better citizen services. Great job on this.
Thanks so much, Jim.
Sure.